Welcome to Yelling Into the Void, a podcast discussing and exploring topics in World of Warcraft. I'm Tevin. I'm joined as always by Scott. And Scott, our houses are allowed to fly. They're allowed to fly and float and walk and everything now. I don't know if you saw that.
I did. I'm so happy about it. I will need someone to come to my neighborhood and do that for me, though, because I still haven't touched the housing system whatsoever.
Yeah, but you can have your childhood dream treehouse now, like that treehouse you always dreamed of that spans like 5 different trees. You know, that could be you now.
Actually, legitimately, the first thing I thought about is that I could remake Kelethin from EverQuest in my World of Warcraft house, and that's the first time I was like, I'm excited, and then I was like, wait, what would it take to do that? And then I just didn't want to go through that. So I just abandoned the plan. Someone will do it, though.
I will say the coolest house I've seen so far was actually one of the ones that Blizzard posted in that like news update. I don't even know if it was Blizzard. Somebody posted. But it was it looked exactly like Howl's Moving Castle, which is a Studio Ghibli movie. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Looked pretty cool. People are doing some crazy things. It's really cool. I mean, like I said, like this is not my game. This is not like I don't really get into this kind of stuff, and I'm not saying anything about people that do because I think it's really, really cool seeing what people are coming up with, and it just seems like the overall response to this thing has been incredibly positive. People are loving it. For
sure. Well, I guess let's just jump into it. So news-wise this week, there's really not a ton for us to cover. There is currently being a new build of the beta being pushed. That means that Mythic Plus testing is also swapping back to the previous 4 dungeons. So there's that. As far as Mythic Plus testing for the new dungeons that was out for a little while, I'm very good at what I do here. So I did a total of 1 of those dungeons in which we killed the first boss.
I would say a quarter of that dungeon. Yeah. Look, here's the deal, folks. I tried. We both tried. I sat I mean, granted it was a little bit later at night and it was at the ending of the test cycle, whatever. There were like 5 groups total being listed. Yeah. And I even tried to get us into groups, and like every single one of those groups listed had a healer, and we just sat there looking for a tank for like half an hour, and there was just no tanks on beta, just none. So yeah, I don't know what that means. I don't think it has to mean anything other than like if you don't have a group of people to play with on beta, you're gonna have a tough time finding stuff. It seems, which is a little bit of a bummer, but
yeah. The other thing that I was gonna say too about that is like this is time where I wanted to test out some of the DPS specs that I hadn't gotten to yet. So it's just like sitting there like, maybe I should just go back to tanking. So I don't know. It's like the retail problems are already creeping up in beta.
Yeah. But yeah, there's plenty of time. We got plenty of beta left, plenty of time to test, all the good stuff.
Yeah, so I think the next thing, though, as far as testing goes, is they made some changes to the previous dungeons. So we might talk about that a little bit near the end of the podcast today. There's not a ton that we can really say definitively yet, though, because it's not live, and we haven't been able to play through it. But there are some changes in Algathar Academy specifically that I think Scott and I are both interested and a little worried about. So we might bring those up at the end of the show.
Sure.
Housing, like you said, it is still booming. It is exploding in popularity and creativity. I mean, the number of like YouTube videos, posts on Twitter, posts on Reddit, and just in general, the reception of housing is through the roof. I kind of anticipated this with how good a lot of people who tested it said that the system was. But not only is it insanely popular, they're already making changes to it. So there's a lot that's going on with housing. And I think that that is going to continue to be one of the main focuses going into midnight, obviously. I just hope that they continue to kind of like treat this as a system that needs to have constant changes and not something that like they can finally get to a state and then wash their hands of, because I think that'll be the point where it gets a little stale. I don't know, maybe not though, because Final Fantasy I feel like hasn't had a change to their housing system since the whole lottery change that they have, and people still love housing in that game. So
Yeah,
maybe I'm
that's
wrong.
because they're doing weird sex shit in those houses. And I don't know about all that. I put a chair in my house.
Yeah, he did. It just
did.
stares at the door.
Well, yeah, it's a guard chair.
And then he removed everything else that was there by default.
Yeah. Well, what do I need
maybe the
windows
fireplace
for?
is still there.
No, it's gone.
He has a singular chair in his house currently.
I accidentally deleted the door, and it took me a long time to find out where the door was on my list of things to get the door back.
He had a bed outside for a little while too.
Well, I'm a druid, man. I like to be one with the earth, but not on it, still above it.
But all right. Well, lastly, Scott, and the main thing that I kind of want to talk about today, I don't know how much time this is going to take, because this is kind of just like shower thoughts at this point, to be honest with you. But
This is
I want to
whole
talk
different
about
podcast if we're getting in the shower.
I want to talk about the UI like ecosystem that we've had in WoW for a while now. And that, like, I guess let's just dive into it. So this will take us into kind of the main segment of things. So what do I mean by this? I mean, some people will play this game with no add-ons. They'll modify everything with just the edit mode in WoW, and that's great. Some people will add add-ons, things like LVUI or things, you know, as simple as like, I can't think of the old OG Bartender. That's the name of it. Or Dominoes or something like that, to where they can just move things. And then some people, and this is the main thing that I kind of want to focus on, but they will pay a subscription or they will pay a single fee to somebody to then get their add-on, or I guess add-on profiles particularly is pretty much what it is. So it's a very interesting spot that we are in. I think that this has evolved as the years have gone on and things have gotten more complicated in WoW, and add-ons became a lot more sophisticated and could do a lot more things. Because I don't remember anything like this really being in the game when I came back to like majorly playing the game in Cataclysm. And
No.
The first time that I can remember something like this creeping up was like, I don't know if it was like BFA time frame. I feel like that's around the time that people really started to like really latch on to like importing somebody else's stuff. And then paid UIs, I think, was around Shadowlands. At least that's when I first came into contact with it. So, you know, speaking from my personal experience, that's kind of like the history that I remember all of these things. So
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, you kind of understand the inevitable escalation of this, and I want to say before we say anything else that Tevin is making me talk about add-ons again, and so you listen, you have to get mad at him and not me, because this is not my fault. So don't get mad at me, please. I'm sorry, I'm talking about add-ons again. I think like one of the things you see, especially like the rise of streaming and content creation and that kind of thing, is people are watching other people play a lot, and therefore they see what they're making their game look like. They're seeing what they make their UI look like, what they make their add-ons look like. And I think a lot of streamers are very used to the question of like, what's that in your UI? How do you do that? What's that? How did you make that look like that? What add-on is that? Where is that? What weak core is that? And they get those kind of questions constantly. And then, so I think there was this inevitable, like, I'm going to set up a YouTube video that shows you how I made my UI exactly like it is, and you can follow step by step. And then somewhere along the way, someone goes, hey, I can charge money for this.
mm-hmm.
And that's capitalism, baby. I mean, I use, and you do as well, Atrocity's UI, which costs $5 a month, although not technically costs $5 a month. It costs $5 a month as long as you want to continue to receive updates to it on a periodic basis. You could just subscribe when the new update comes, pay $5. So essentially you could arrange it where you just like you pay $5 every time Atrocity's UI is updated, which isn't a huge price, but it is money. I have, by the way, canceled my subscription to Atrocity basically since the great add-on purge was announced. Said, oh, we don't need to do that anymore. Bye, $5 more. One more coffee I can have this month. But like I'm saying this as a person who does this, like it makes sense to me. It like I treat my UI like maybe housing is a great example of like I want it to be nice and functional, but I don't want to be the person that has to take all the time to fuck with it. I make small little changes, personal preference things, turn some stuff off that I don't feel that I need, but like I don't want to mess with that. And like honestly, come midnight, I'm not going to be paying Atrocity any money, but like I'm probably going to look for a content creator healer that exists out there and try to copy as much as I possibly can of their UI just to set it up, because I don't really want to fuck with that much. I want someone else to come up with the idea and the layout and the aesthetic and the functionality of it, and then I just want to take it from them and put it in my game and play, because the part of this game I like is the playing of it. I don't like all the outside stuff. So like it was just a very logical thing in my mind of like, oh, someone says pay me $5 and I'll take care of this for you. It's like, okay, deal. Done.
Yeah. And I think that that's the first thing that we really need to like touch on, because I think that that's what angers a lot of people. So we have to go back in WoW's history. There has always been kind of this like gray area of paid add-ons. So like TOS wise, there shouldn't be any paid add-ons technically. That being said, things do still exist where you have to pay for them, but they get around it by providing like a free version of the add-on, and then you have to pay for like a better version of it. So things like Rested XP are things that come to mind. Zygor's guides, if you ever use those. So these UI like imports or UI setups or whatever you want to call it, behind a paywall, I feel like live in this same like TOS gray area where it's like you're kind of paying for something to be able to play the game that isn't going directly to Blizzard, and so that obviously they don't want that to happen. So yeah, I feel like it's just kind of this like weird spot, and it angers some people, and you know, rightfully so. Like I don't want to pay money to get a UI import, but also I realize that people put time and a lot of effort into these sometimes, especially when weak auras were around. Like the amount of time people would put into their weak auras, it still amazes me. Lucthos does what he does for free.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I used first when I first came back, right? I was like, what are weak auras? and then I was like, how do I get them? And then I saw Lucthos, and yeah, it was very easy to import and do all that, and it's done for you. You don't have to think about it.
Yeah. So I don't know, like I don't really know what to say about this elephant in the room. Like I said, in an ideal world, yeah, I don't think you would have to pay for anything with your UI. But also when people put so much time into something, like I feel like it's fair they get compensated. And this isn't something along the lines of like giving a huge competitive advantage that you couldn't ultimately end up doing yourself. To the point of like, if you had to pay for something like, let's say DBM, I feel like that'd be a little messed up, right? But just paying for a different look and feel of a UI that you could ultimately do yourself, I feel like is a little less fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, it is really interesting to me where the line has been drawn. That like, yeah, I think you're right that like if a company ever said DBM now costs $5 a month, I feel like Blizzard would be like, hey, you can't do that. No, not allowed. But yeah, if my DBM profile costs $5 a month, they're like, all right, I'll allow it. And that feels like an interesting line. I mean, like, I think let's be clear here. I don't love that this ecosystem exists, but obviously I partake in it, right? I think it's
Right.
I recognize that I am part of the problem, because if there was no demand for this, there would be no supply for it. But there is demand for it and people willing to shell out the money. I mean, it does feel a little weird that like I pay all these things for this game. I pay a box price, I pay a subscription fee. Now I'm also paying $5, but not to the company that makes the game, just to get a prettier UI so I can play the game. And I could just do this work. I mean, like that's everyone makes that. Like that's essentially buying a WoW token as well, right? It's like I
Yeah.
could do the work to get the money myself, or I could just pay a little bit of money and then I would have what I want. And people make that kind of calculus in their head all the time with everything in their lives. That's what we do. And so this ecosystem exists. It does. There is, I agree with you, some level of like, I don't know if I feel good about that exists though. That feels weird. It's like, this is a customization option for a video game that I'm being charged for from the person who didn't make the video game.
Yeah.
It's strange. It's strange when you just say the words out loud, but like I guess when you're like, I never even really gave two thoughts about it when I said, yeah, I'll sign up. Give me that. Yeah, I don't know. Weird.
Yeah, I think one of the things too that like that I found super interesting when thinking about this, and again, this is like just completely off the cuff thoughts that I had, were like, when did the decision get made to start monetizing these things? And I want to say that a lot of that came when people started adding in like weak aura packs for like a bunch of different classes and dungeons and stuff like that, into their UI, because there have been paid weak aura packs in the past, and there still are things for like raid and everything like that when those first come out. But I don't know when we kind of crossed that threshold specifically. And I don't know who the first one to do it was. I think one of the major players right now is Atrocity. Now also has a UI that's paid. And I believe Quasi, his UI is now behind a paywall as well.
Oh, really? It was free forever.
Yeah. At least from what I could find looking into it. I don't use Quasi's UI. I might in Midnight, because he's one of the ones who's still maintaining something that's going to be updated regularly, from my understanding. But yeah, so that's, I think, the three like major players that I can think of. But before that, we had things like, Lucky One, the developer of ElvUI, had his own personalized skin of ElvUI that you could import. But that was just essentially downloading another add-on, and then that would plug into ElvUI and then kind of just set all the settings for you once you've gone through the like startup. So yeah, I don't know when we crossed this line. I don't know that it matters, but it's just interesting to think about, because like, was it due to game complexity? Was it due to add-on complexity? Was like, but what caused it, I guess, was my initial thought. And I can't pinpoint it. I really can't.
I mean, it just like it makes sense that it rose with the rise of streaming as a thing, right? Because like, I mean, there have been content creators in World of Warcraft for a very, very long time, but it's in relatively recent in the game's life that you are watching people play the game live and interacting with them the way you can, and so you're seeing their UI and really focusing on it, and then we move from just I'm watching the stream because I'm watching someone play a game I like, to I'm watching the stream because I like the player, and then they become a person that you care about and like to watch, and then so you want to copy them, and if they're out there willing to, like, it just makes sense to me when you think about it. This thing kind of just naturally arose all at the same time.
So you think this came up with the rise of content creation for WoW?
Yeah.
I feel like content creation for WoW has been around for a very long time, but like, I don't know, maybe when Mythic Plus ish came out and somebody constantly had something to do in the game, because I feel like PvPers kind of had a space where they could stream and like chat with people for a while now. But I
Yep.
think Mythic Plus was really what drove the PvE scene and maybe started exploding this around Legion times.
Yeah, I would think that. I mean, it feels like, I mean, content creation in WoW has been around from the beginning. You're absolutely correct, but like this phase, this variety of content creation is in the game's long history relatively new, and it is unique and different in a way that, like the personalities you grow to want to emulate. Like I learned how to heal in this game when I came back by watching people like Growl and Jack and those kind of people. And so it's like you're wanting to learn how to play the game like they're playing the game by watching them. So doesn't it make sense to make your UI look like theirs so you can, like, if they're saying this is how I react to this is how I do this, isn't it easier if I can make my game look like that? And so I understand that a little bit easier because I'm watching them do it. And like that wasn't my experience with the game when I played it earlier. Although I will say, like, I remember watching tank spot videos on guides in like Wrath of the Lich King and Kata, and like I very distinctly remember like pausing the tank spot video and like I knew which add-on it was, but like spending so much time trying to get my UI to look like his in that video, even though you go back and look at some of the, and it's like the UI is dog shit, but like that was a video I was watching. So it was a cool thing. So I think on some level this has always existed. I just think the ability to not only, I think this is a good point as well. The ability to like package the UI in a way that all you and I have to do is basically like do a slash command and it just loads everything and puts it in the right place and does everything, feels relatively new to me. Because when I first played this game, like we had add-ons, of course, but the maintenance and installation of those add-ons, like we didn't have these third-party programs like WowUp and all those things that you could, like, you had to go out to a website, download the add-on, you had to put it in the folder yourself, you had to walk uphill both ways. It was really it was just a lot less clean and a lot more manual and a lot more difficult. And so the rise of these kind of solutions and tools that will automate all this stuff for you means that a person wanting to make money on it can package their thing in a very easy to digest package, and then the value of that becomes more apparent. So yeah, I mean, like anything, like any economy, I think it's just like 20 different factors all occurring at the same time. I think it's an interesting question, like who's the first person that did it?
Yeah,
we don't know that answer, but like it's pretty smart, it's pretty savvy of them. And then because once one person does it, the floodgates are open because someone goes, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I forgot what the company was, but there's also like, I don't know how this is going to do now, but there was this, I wish I could remember which add-on, or maybe it's Raider.io. There was one that like they packaged this ability to like subscribe to someone via their app, and then you can just download their UI stuff from there, like to make that part even easier. Because even like Atrocity stuff is you still have to do a lot of like pull your file over here and then pull things over and then save and like you still have a decent amount of manual stuff to do. Gosh, I wish I could remember the name of that.
Are you talking about the Wago app?
Yes, thank you. It's Wago. Yeah. I never tried that myself. I think Atrocity was like halfway into making sure all of his stuff functions on there, but like I know like Growl was using that, and it's like it's a way of like, I think you can it linked to your Patreon as well, so you could support someone on Patreon and it would send that to the Wago app, which would then note you can get this stuff. And it's just trying to simplify and streamline all these things. So it's like this is like how economies work. Like someone has an idea, they do something, and then someone says, "Ooh, I like that," and then a certain number of people do that, and someone says, "Ooh, I could serve these people doing that and help them out and get some money myself." And it's just like, yeah, that's how it works. I still am a little like, I'm a little surprised that Blizzard allows this to happen. Like still, like that they've drawn, like you said, that they've drawn the line at like, you can't sell add-ons, but you can sell profiles, you can sell packs. You like, I think that's really interesting. Maybe they were just like, we can't reliably enforce that. Like add-ons may be a little bit easier to enforce, but like the idea of profiles and these kind of packs, it's so difficult to enforce that we're not even going to try type thing.
Yeah, I don't know, because like really thinking back to like things like I said earlier, Zygor and Rested XP, like I say that those are because they provide a free version, like a free trial, and you can actually install it without having to pay for it. But I don't ultimately know that that's why Blizzard allows it. That's just my best guess assumption on why they allow it. So, yeah, even that I think is more in the gray area than these add-on packs are, because
Mm-hmm.
these add-on packs are almost essentially like, I don't know, because I can't even say that, because add-ons are the same thing. I was gonna say add-on packs are like, this is somebody's own like work and like modifications that they've done to something that they're then presenting you. But what is an add-on if not just developed by somebody, their own work, blood, sweat, and tears put into it? So yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a very interesting thing. I don't know where the line is drawn. I think that it's probably fuzzy, and if you do something to anger Blizzard, then maybe they'll come at you and won't come at somebody else doing something similar to you. So, yeah, I think it's this thing where people are tiptoeing around. Blizzard hasn't really done anything about it yet. I don't see them doing anything about it in the future, just based off prior history. Um, but
Yeah.
I don't know what it will take to cross that line. I mean, if we eventually keep progressing, like there will come a time where that line gets crossed, and what is that? I don't know.
I think it's interesting that the economies on these have stayed relatively stable. Like atrocities cost $5 a month. I don't know what some of the other ones cost, but I bet they're similar. It strikes me that there would be a real opportunity for like consumer manipulation by just like, you feel like you need my UI pack to play the game. Well, guess what? It costs $10 now. And that hasn't really happened. And I wonder with the change to add-ons and everything, because I mean, like one thing we've been seeing over the last few weeks is that like the realization that add-ons are still incredibly powerful in this game, actually, and that the dream of playing the game with the base UI for us crazy people is probably not going to happen. Where you and I are probably still going to be running a pretty fairly comprehensive suite of add-ons. They're just not the same type of stuff and won't have access to the same type of stuff we have access to on live right now. And I am going to want someone to handle all of that for me,
Yeah.
because I don't want to do it. But like in that world of like, we don't have weak auras anymore, so you can't just very easily buy a weak aura pack. How do you manage all that? Like if there's literally some stuff that like a key thing that would have been a weak aura in the old days as part of your weak aura pack, but is now just an add-on, and it's just, this is an add-on and it has to be an add-on and you have to install it just like an add-on, and it's not even a profile thing. It's just like, this is functionality that we built into an add-on that we're collecting as part of this atrocity pack. Does that cross the line then? Right? Is that essentially now we're saying we're charging you for an add-on? Because like basically a lot of what has changed now is a lot of the things that we could just do in weak auras, we're pushing back out to, you need a specific add-on to do it, because weak auras in essence don't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe if they're gonna make a change, if they're gonna make a decision on this, if something is gonna happen with this, maybe this is the time it happens. By the way, I think that's a really bad idea. I think you've already kind of scared or pissed off a lot of people with this change to add-ons, to then also say, oh, by the way, those packs that you've been buying and using and enjoying, we're not going to let that happen anymore. And so then all the atrocities of the world go, okay, well, I'm not making anything anymore. All right, later.
Mm-hmm.
And then so not only have you lost add-ons functionality in combat and weak auras, but now you've also lost the guy that helped do your UI for you, and that's just a nightmare all over again. So if they're gonna do it, I don't think they should do it right now. I think they should just finish what they started and then move on to something else. But I don't know. It's so interesting because but like
Mhm.
as you just like as a business, you're like, is this something we want to allow in our game?
Yeah, I think that a lot of this is going to really come to light in the next expansion or two. The reason for that is, given that there's going to be new players on the scene for add-ons and that UIs are potentially going to be changing due to people not wanting to use what was there previously,
Yeah.
even if it's being carried forward or changing to something new or anything like that. I think a lot of this is really going to come to fruition sooner than we expect. But 100% agree. I don't think that it's necessarily a good idea to make another wide sweeping change like that. I think Blizzard has already stepped on enough toes right now with the add-on API changes that they've made, and then on top of that, the like class pruning, as people are so mad about, which I think they're kind of walking some of that back. They are giving some spells back and stuff like that, which I kind of always assumed would happen. Like they tore everything down to the actual bare bones that they could, and then they're slowly adding things back.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that this is going to come to fruition sometime soon. And it kind of brings me into the next point that I wanted to talk to you about, Scott. And you and I have kind of like lamented on this just a little bit before, but like, what is the longevity of paid UIs into midnight? So when we first talked about this and we had somebody else in call, the other person in the call seemed to think that like maybe there wasn't a ton of space for these anymore, and that's because weak auras doesn't exist anymore, and the primary thing that you're paying for is somebody's weak aura pack. um
Hmm.
I push back on that a little bit because I think that there's a lot of things that you can do specifically with Plater in the current version of the game, or hiding and showing of specific like bigwigs notifications or DBM notifications based on your spec and things like that, that still do a lot for you. But that being said, like, what do we think the longevity of this is? I don't think it's going anywhere, but does it get cheaper? Does it become harder to find people doing it since there's no weak aura packs? Like, what do we think's going to happen as a part of that?
I don't know. I mean, Atrocity has said he's kind of still gonna like release profiles and stuff, right? But not maybe charge for it. So that's one of the big players that's kind of stepping down from it, or at least refocusing their efforts on Classic, where add-ons are still the same, right?
Hmm.
Um, I don't know what some of the other ones are doing. I think our friend mentioned that there's definitely like Frag UI um, is like maybe gonna have a little bit of a paid version. I looked up Quasi, by the way, while you were talking. His stuff is still free. His midnight his midnight ready version right now is behind his Patreon. It's only available for patrons.
Okay.
I don't know if that's going to remain the case once midnight is out. Maybe that's just like a early adoption thing he's doing for his supporters, but he will make it free once that game mode is actually out. I don't know.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, I think there's still space for it for sure. I'm not sure exactly what that space is going to look like and how many people will be in there, but like, I mean, even if it's even, I guess I don't know what's your opinion. Like, if it's fully base UI and you're just buying like profiles to put things in different places, it would have to be pretty cheap for me to do that. Cause like
Yeah.
I'm lazy. I'm not that lazy. If I could just look at a picture of your UI and just like, oh, he puts this here and just like done. I'm probably not going to pay money for that. And maybe it is like, I don't know. I don't know how much customization there's going to be in the add-ons that like, cause what it would have to be is that there's so much complexity and customization in the add-ons that the idea of figuring all that out yourself would be pretty difficult. I mean, one thing that we're seeing though is that like, yes, weak auras are gone, but like you can essentially take anything that is in the cooldown manager right now and you can move it anywhere you want and you can change the look of it. And you can like pretty dramatically do all these things. And I don't know, I guess it depends on if there is a single add-on that does that in the way you want it to, or if there's an add-on that allows you to do all those things but has the customization that WeakAura has had, to the point where someone like me looks at it and goes, huh? someone just give me your profile. Give me your profile. I'll give you $2. Give me a profile. If that's the case, then it's essentially going to be the same economy that exists right now, I think. Yeah. And I don't
know. So I guess bare bones here. My question is, do you think WeakAuras were the end all be all for paid add-ons in the current iteration of the game?
Yes. Because they were so infinitely customizable and difficult to figure out yourself. Like, it's a great tool. It's very, very powerful. If you're a layperson, making your own WeakAuras is not easy. It is not. And I've tried to edit WeakAuras, small changes, and I'm not stupid. Well, I mean, jury's out on that, but it's not an easy thing to do. And so the idea of not handling that from a time perspective, but also not handling that from a knowledge perspective, I think was a very equitable bargain to strike with someone. Sure. So it depends on how complex these UIs are, because I think there is always going to be an economy around, I don't want to spend the time to do that. I think that is a much lower price point than something like, give me your full suite of WeakAura profiles and stuff like that.
So how much do you think that paying for something like Atrocity UI or Now's UI or Quasi's or Fragnance's or whoever's, how much of that do you think comes down to people who want something that's just easy to set up across, like, I don't know, maybe multiple computers or multiple characters or multiple accounts even? And how much of that do you think is due to WeakAuras? Like I know you said WeakAuras are kind of the end all be all right now, but do you think that there is a space for people who are just like, I just don't want to redo the same thing 15 times?
Yeah.
But I don't even know if that matters now, because with the edit mode, like, you save a profile and you import it. So I just don't know if it matters. Like, almost every UI add-on has a way to export your profile and import it into something else.
Yeah. I mean, you can't, like, I mean, the interesting thing about this is like, even with Atrocity's UI as it stands right now, you could technically just give it to your friend. Like, you could get 20 people together and buy one access to it, and you could all get it. Like, that's true, because you could just export your profiles on Plater and export your WeakAuras and do all that stuff. I don't think many people do that because the price point is so low. Like, so I think there is absolutely a market for, I am the type of person that wants to play the game. I want to sit down and boot up the game, and I want to go, and I want to feel like I am not making poor choices in what is present to me on the screen. And sure. the idea of like Atrocity UI, and for me, when I was looking at like Growl's UI when I first started to heal, was like, he's good at the game. This is what his game looks like. So this is what my game should look like. I think that's still something that's going to exist in Midnight for sure. And that will possibly have a price point. I mean, like, I think it's crazy to think, like, is there an economy? Is there a world? Because one of the most popular questions asked to a streamer in this game is, can you show me your talents? Can you show me your talents? Show me your talents.
Paywall talents.
Like, I mean, don't you think there would be a certain sect of people that would pay for that? I'm not saying I would. I'm not saying you would. I'm not saying anyone listening to this podcast would. Probably not. But like, there's probably a price at which you would, just for like the comfort of, not even for like, I'm not sure. I mean, most people that play this game just look up a talent guide and like follow that, right? And the reason they do that is because they don't want to make the wrong choice, because there's a lot of social pressure and anxiety in this game, and they don't want to be perceived as the person that's not playing optimally, that's making the wrong choice, that is the bad player. And that is a lot of pressure. And that is why people do UI stuff too, is because they don't want to be perceived as the person who has the bad UI or is not seeing the thing they shouldn't see, or like yada, 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 yada. And like, especially in a War Within version of this game where these UIs are incredibly powerful. But I think the perception and the social part of it is still going to be there, even if the UIs are not quite as powerful as they are now. So I think the price point probably needs to shift a little bit, but maybe even not. I mean, $5 is $5, right? It's not nothing, but it's not a huge amount of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will say, Scott's treading some dangerous waters here. So if you're listening to this and then you decide that you want to go charge for your fucking talents, I don't like you anymore. Don't do that.
I like the problem with that. The problem with that is it's like unenforceable, because so when I'm charging for my talent build when I'm streaming. Like, okay, the real problem with it is like your talent build is not private information, and it will be posted on Radar.io the second you do a key. There's no way of stopping people from getting access to what talents you're running, and also every time you change your talents in the game, you would need to like turn off your screen temporarily. But so that's not actually a thing that's enforceable. I think my point there was more that like people are afraid of making the wrong choice, and experts at the game offering the correct choice for a price is something that people are very willing to do. And I think that will remain true no matter what.
Yeah, and I think that maybe some of the explosion of UI stuff maybe came at the hands of Max, because Max has always been a very big advocate on like your UI can do so much for you if you just figure out how to let it.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder, like, Max's major like rise in streaming happened around, Shadowlands-ish time frame. BFA is, right around when Liquid was really becoming like extremely competitive, or I guess Limit at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I almost wonder if like that was a major driving factor too. People realize like, oh yeah, you're right. Like if I have all of this information right where I need it, right where I can see it easily, and I can turn that part of my brain off, that is insanely powerful.
Yeah.
So that could be it too.
I think so. I will say that like so much of the time people are if you go out and download like a week or a pack from a raid or even Atrocities UI, right? And just say, okay, this is what I'm doing. There's probably more information in that than you actually need.
Oh, 100%.
And I think people like get this add-on clutter, this UI clutter stuff where they're showing themselves so much information that they're not actually looking at, that they don't ever actually need. And so maybe one of the ultimate positives of this whole add-on UI stuff is that like we cut down on the number of the amount of clutter and things like that, because like a raid week or a pack, if you're not the raid leader, you can turn like half of that shit off. Like you don't need you need stuff that's important to you, stuff that tells you what you need to do and where you need to go. And then of course, depending on your role, other stuff like healers, you need to know certain things, but like so much of that stuff is not needed. But like people are afraid, right? I need the idea of like in the information age, we need all the information we can possibly have at any given moment. But sometimes no, you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, like the easiest way to point this out to people if you don't know, like download DBM or download Bigwigs. It's going to put a bunch of bars on your screen. Do you ever actually look at those bars just generally going through a raid?
No.
And if the answer is no, why are they there? Turn them off. Because if you go into your raid and you're just listening for your raid leader to call things out, or you're waiting for the giant notification to appear on the center of your screen from the add-on instead, That's what you need.
Yeah.
The rest of it can go away. So just remove all of the things that you don't ever look at in the corners of your screen where you've thrown it, because if you're not looking at it, all it's doing is taking up space, and that space could be you seeing a mechanic that's coming at you from that corner of your screen, or not seeing the mechanic coming at you from the corner of your screen.
Yeah, I mean, especially in a world where like what I would absolutely do is just the mechanics that are very, very important to me as a healer, I would put a sound cue on it or a countdown on it, and like that's literally all I need. I don't need anything else. Now, of course, I'm not going to be able to do that, right? That's something I'm not going to be able to do in Midnight. And so it's going to be a little bit of change of how exactly we handle that. But yeah, I mean, there's so much superfluous information in these things. It's insane, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But yet we do them. Why? Because we're scared. We're all scared.
Well, I don't have a ton else to add on this. Like I said, I just wanted to kind of have a back and forth. There's nothing that's going to be done here. I imagine paid UIs are still going to continue into Midnight. I don't imagine Blizzard's going to do anything about them. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what the longevity looks like, because the add-on landscape is getting shook up so much. So
are you going to pay? So like if you find someone that you really like that's made something and it's like $5 a month, do you think you'll keep doing that?
I mean, I currently am, so I don't see why I wouldn't going forward if there is something. Because, like, here's the thing, right? Ultimately, I have set up fairly sophisticated UIs in the past. And this was around the time of, like, BFA, when I really dug in and, like, made my UI my UI.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just don't want to do it again. Like, I don't. Like, it works. It's not something that is honestly overly difficult, but it is overly tedious for me to get it in a situation where like I'm not annoyed looking at something.
Yeah.
So I would rather almost just like take the L, pay $5 and kind of deal with it. I mean, I low key would be okay paying the $5 just to have somebody set something up for me in beta, because you and I were extremely excited to be able to just go into beta and play with the base UI. And for the most part, you and I think have done that.
I am with the exception of my class resource bar. I am using the class resource bar UI, and I'm using click for mouse over casting, which I don't even think I need to do that. I could use the base one, but I just out of instinct did it. That's all I'm using on beta right now.
Yeah, and so I think I've gotten the experience, right? And I know that this isn't necessarily where I want to be in Midnight. It isn't quite there for me to say, okay, I don't need any add-ons yet. I would like a little bit more customization. I would like to reskin things. I don't necessarily love the default Blizzard like health bars, your status panel, whatever they call it, the player frame.
I don't like that either.
Like, I think that the player image is way too large in comparison to the important information, which is your health and mana, and things like that. And so, I'm probably still going to pay for a UI going into Midnight. I just hope that things don't explode. Since things are being broken into so many different add-ons and stuff like that, I hope prices don't increase. I hope that complexity of implementing these things doesn't explode. I want to keep tabs on it, I guess, is the main thing.
Yeah. I'm going to try to start with nothing, and kind of build up when I see the need for certain things. Cause I agree with you. I don't like the player frame. One thing that you just cannot do in the base UI right now is track trinkets or health pot in a place that feels convenient and good. You need, like, there's an ability to do that, right? There's add-ons that can like basically build not a weak aura, but like a weak aura-esque thing that'll show you wherever you want to put it, your potion cooldown or your trinket cooldowns and stuff like that. But yeah, those are add-ons that need it. So there's definitely stuff like that I want, that I'll probably kind of, as I get into the first season, say, oh, I really need this. And I'm going to like go, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try to start as bare bones as possible and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, your limitation on tracking those things right now is how many action bars you're not using, right? Because the solution to that is throw it on an action bar that only has like 3 buttons, scale it way down, place it where you want it to, make it click through.
Looks like shit.
And,
It just looks really bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's not a ton of modification for it. You can't reskin it or anything like that, really. So that right there is the reason why I think that we're still in a spot where there's going to be a lot of UI customization. I think Blizzard knew this going into it. I mean, they specifically said that their goal was not to remove any customization add-ons, but to remove things that were doing calculations or any sort of calculus based on combat data.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean the big thing, like I know we're broken record here, but the thing that they fucked up is not, in my estimation, the choice that they made here. I still think this is ultimately the right choice and will be best for the game overall. I think the thing that they fucked up is how they communicated what they were going to do. Both communicated initially and then in what it looked like in alpha when it first started. Because like if they had done a better job of communicating, here's our end goal, we're starting Scorch Earth, but we're not going to stay there, don't freak out, then maybe there would have been less freak out. but like the state of the game when alpha first launched was like nothing worked. You couldn't do anything. Add-ons were essentially dead entirely. And from a design development standpoint, it makes sense to start there, right? But they didn't talk about their philosophy enough. They didn't, in a clear, concise way, outline exactly what they were going to be doing and then have the evidence to back it up. That this is what we want to do, and here's evidence that we're getting there. I think they have that now, but it's a little too late. The horses are out of the barn. So like, this is why we're in the place we are at, where there's this kind of weird pall over all of World of Warcraft right now, where like nobody feels excited about Midnight. And it's because it's for like 20 different reasons. Some of them is just like the pissed off add-on people. Some of it are people that aren't pissed off, but are just like worried. And it's just really weird. It's just a really weird, I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but it's just a really weird time with this game that like, I don't quite know what to make of it.
I feel like this is Blizzard's like normal development cycle at this point though, because they did the same thing, like I said earlier, with classes. Like they removed everything that they could to bring classes back down to their bare bones, at least things that they hadn't just reworked, right? Like Frost Death Knight is still more or less what it is in the War Within. And then they've slowly been adding things back and changing things. And so I don't think the end goal is to have something so mind-numbingly boring, but it's to remove things where like, okay, we can still play the game and it's still fun and we don't need these extra buttons. They're just kind of causing bloat currently. I think that's the end goal. I don't know that they're going to achieve it for every spec. I mean, I think Resto Shaman is one that comes to mind immediately that I think is still down pretty fucking bad as far as like things that got removed. And to be clear, Shamans had 1.5 billion buttons anyways, just for being shamans and having totems and things that they can place. So I'm not super surprised that they're one of the ones that got hit the hardest. But it is a little disheartening. If you're somebody who's played the class for 15 plus years, you've kind of built up this knowledge and everything, and then to see like half your kit go away, it just is a weird feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a problem right now, at least amongst healers, and Jack put out a really good video about this. I really, really liked it this week. So they wanted to like, from a healer perspective, they wanted to like curtail like how you how much burstiness you can do, how much like healing you can do and stuff like that. And like a lot of the hero talent stuff was just so fucking powerful in War Within. And so they pulled like a lot of that power out of the hero talents, but they like put it in Apex talents. So like for like Discipline Priest, your Apex talent does like 20 to 30% of your healing. And for Resto Shaman, you just get like this incredibly juiced healing Tide Totem that is like a huge, insane part of your kit. And so they wanted to reduce button bloat and reduce overall healers' ability to do things, but like as a side effect of that, there's this weird thing where like so much of the healing is automated and there's less buttons, but things are happening automatically, and then so much of it is tied to a single thing, which is your Apex talents, and it's just a little weird right now. And so I like that is weird on a class by class basis. Like I said, like playing Resto Druid, like I feel fine. I feel great. I mean, if you like Resto Druid in the War Within, you're chilling because it's the same. It's essentially the same. There's a little bit differences. There's some, like, you maybe don't have to deal with FLO if you choose a certain talent and things like that. But I think it is going to be kind of a weird class by class thing on how well they pull this off ultimately.
Yeah. Well, all right, Scott. UI stuff aside, class stuff aside, I do want to talk a little bit about housing and kind of the philosophy that we've seen kind of creep up. So we have already had a change to housing. What that change did is at housing level 3, they're giving you 50 more items or 50 more allowance, whatever you want to call it, decor allowance on your exterior of your house. So that's going to allow you to place more things outside. They were also going to do another change on this because people found a way to bug their houses and let them fly in the air, which is kind of the joke that we made at the beginning of the episode. But they put out a post specifically saying, we saw some of the cool things that you guys did with this. We love it so much. We don't want to take it away. And in fact, we're just allowing you to do it in the base UI now. And I don't know. Everybody always says Blizzard never listens to their player base and yada, yada, yada. And I feel like this is just like the antithesis to that argument. I know people in the forums and people who tend to play this game are pretty cynical when it comes to a lot of the decisions Blizzard makes. And so like, I don't expect everyone to agree with me on this, but I feel like this just shows that they are listening. They are looking at what we're doing. They are like, they don't want to make the game worse. They don't want to piss you off. They are trying to still have a functional video game at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course they are. They want your money. Like this is why this whole thing drives me crazy. I agree. Like, you cannot look at the housing system and their responses to this early stuff and say this is not a company that is not like working their asses off to release a really good, creative, fun product. Like, I've already said housing is not necessarily for me, right? Like, it's not something I get out of bed for, is messing with the house in a digital game, which is fine. But like, everything I've watched, everything I've seen, and every way I've seen people interact with stuff and seen the ways that the system they built here is so easy to use, but infinitely complex in the way you can figure it out and break it and explore in it and play in it. It's such a labor of love. It is so clear to me that it is such a labor of love. And they do this because, I mean, cynically, because they want you to give them money for their video game. That's like why anyone's doing any of this stuff. But like, they wanted to make a really good product and they did it. And now they're doubling down on this with, I loved that tweet. It was like, yeah, we were going to take this away, but we looked at like 5 examples of what you guys did with this and we liked it so much that we're just leaving it in. And in fact, not just leaving it in, but working it into the UI to let you do this without having to finagle it in the way these people did. And it's like, I just do, it is incongruous with the way that some people portray this company to me. And it's like, I know we're gonna be called shills for this, and I don't really give a shit. But like, I mean, this is one of the most successful video games of all time, and there's a reason for it. And do these people make mistakes? Absolutely. Did they release stuff that's bad? Yes, 100%. like I still think the writing in this game is pretty mediocre at best.
Yeah.
Like it's not great. And there's there's been some attempts, and like I don't want to get into like there's no more war in Warcraft type nonsense anymore, because that's stupid. I hate that. But like there's definitely been some attempts to make this game so like 4-quadrant friendly that a little bit of the edge of some of the stuff has been sanded off in times.
Mm-hmm.
But they want to make a good product. Like nobody at this company sits down in their chair and says, I'm going to fuck this shit up today. That's not what they're doing. And so, yeah, I think housing is such a perfect example of this. And it is a little sad that a lot of people's depiction of housing is based on Hearthsteel, this stupid currency that they're adding to the game that we already talked about how much we hated. Like, how much is that going to get in the way of this incredible, fantastic system that their developers have built for them, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do wonder that I don't know how much the greed of the corporation is really going to seep in here. Currently, you have the ability to create and buy a lot of decor items in the game. And if it continues that way, I think that will be the saving grace here. The problem is if they release something that is exclusive to the cash shop, you can only get there, and is like way cooler than anything else that you can get in the game, then that's going to cause some uproar. I mean, the first time that they released a mount that people were over the moon about in the cash shop, I mean, that caused uproar in and of itself, and it didn't stop them. So yeah, I hope that there's no bad taste in anyone's mouth from Hearthsteel going forward, but that's not for me to decide. That's for Blizzard to decide whether they are going to continue to have this be something to where we can obtain items in game, which everybody loves. I mean, look at things like the Mage Tower and shit like that, where like you get rewarded for doing something complicated in the game with an appearance or something like that. Yeah. And so like it doesn't always have to be power increasing items. And so if you do this and you add housing items behind it, like for AOTC or for cutting edge or anything like that, which you're already planning on doing, then I think that will quell some of the annoyance around the cash shop. But again, it's really just going to come down to corporate greed and how much it's going to get milked, based on how the perception is going to be.
Yeah, which it will. Like, I mean, these companies, growth is required, and lack of growth is stagnation and death. And so, like, there's always going to be pressure to make more and more and more and more and more. Find ways of converting more and more money from the people that are already giving you money. Like, this is just part of life now, unfortunately. But that doesn't take away from what they've built here, which is an incredibly cool system. And this is why, like, are they going to pull off this add-on thing? I don't know. Are they going to pull off this class simplification thing? I don't know. Is this going to work? Is the game going to be better a year from now than it is right now on live? I have no idea. I hope so. And I think the people that work at this company are certainly capable of doing that. And the rest is just, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's no there's no point in being like overly speculative on the positive or the negative of this, because it is ultimately not going to matter. Like the game is going to lie where it lies, and whether you are super annoyed about it and are just going to complain about it, or you're going to sit here and you're going to hold out hope. I mean, obviously Scott and I are on one side of the fence here. Like, we are holding out hope. We want things to be better. We don't want to look at things in like the most negative light. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like, the game is going to be what it is going to be in 6 months. It's like it doesn't matter what we think about it. It doesn't matter how we want to sit here and have our thoughts be portrayed into the internet, into the ether, because ultimately we're not making the decisions. And so we can voice thoughts and whatever, but that doesn't mean they're going to be picked up. So yeah, I would just say a lot of wait and see is coming up. It happens with every new expansion. I just think that it's really being hammered away because of the changes with the add-on API, the changes with class. Like, there's a lot of major things happening with Midnight, and so there's a lot of unknown, a lot more than there normally is going into an expansion, and that's causing a lot of animosity right now.
Yeah, I don't. The one thing I ultimately don't understand is the take that Blizzard could not possibly finish what they need to do in time, right? Like that's one of the takes we've seen, is that like they've said they want to do all these things. They should have waited. They should have done this slow roll over the course of the expansion instead of doing this all before the expansion, because they cannot possibly get it done in time. And I'm like, I mean, you don't know that. Like you could ultimately be right? Like it could be May 2nd or March 2nd, and we're like, fuck, this shit is not ready. The details meter is still absolutely dog shit. All the customization that we were hoping for is not there yet. The classes are not in a good shape. Like, this could all be true, but it doesn't have to be true. It's not a foregone conclusion. And so I don't know. It's just like, I know we've talked about this multiple times over the last month, but I just continue to be a place of like, what does it hurt us to just go, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing going into Midnight, if you actually enjoy playing this game and you're not just doing out of like a cost sunk mindset, is to not go into it thinking that everything is just going to be the worst that it's going to be. Because at that point, like, if you hate this game, you hate the devs, you hate everything about it so much, my question to you is, why are you still playing?
I'm not talking
because it
to
is
those
a video
people.
game.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to those people. If that's the case, like, don't talk to me. If you're listening to me and that's you, just turn it off. I don't want to talk to you. Like, 'cause that's why are you doing this?
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, it will be what it will be, and whether you want to be optimistic or not on that is completely your prerogative. I'm not trying to tell you how to think, but just know that outside of giving your input through beta or whatever else you can do there, your thoughts might not be heard because decisions might have already been made. And so we'll just have to see how it is in 6 months.
Yeah,
and
man,
hopefully
this game could suck. I don't know.
it could. It very well could. This
rule.
could be the final expansion of World of Warcraft. I mean, there will eventually be a final expansion of WoW. And you like to hope that Midnight isn't it, but it might be. And,
Yeah.
what a fitting name if it is. But anyways, we need to get away from add-ons and philosophical stuff or whatever, because you and I have already heard up and down the paid shills and whatever else for Blizzard arguments. So the question I have now, Scott, is something that actually kind of annoyed me a little bit reading through it. And so this is all speculation, but reading through some of the dungeon changes coming in tonight, I don't know if it'll be live tomorrow. I think it will be. But the dungeon changes that are coming to beta, really the main one that I want to focus on is Algathar, because it's one that you and I have done pretty extensively in the past, and we can actually read these changes and understand what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
With some of the other ones, it's not that they aren't clear in what they're saying, it's that we don't necessarily know what that means because we're not as well versed in them. So I'm going to leave those for a later date when we actually get to do some testing. And again, like, there is a huge caveat on this. Like, Scott and I have not played Algathar since the new changes right now. We are strictly going off of what is in the patch notes and our assumption on what that is to me as of right now.
Yeah.
And Scott, the very first thing that popped out to me is they fucking did it. They finally did the one thing that you and I said that they should not do in this dungeon. And they, I think, might have killed the whole room poll for the first poll of the dungeon.
Yeah. So what did they change? What is read it out for me?
Yeah. So what they did was the little lashers, the vile lashers that you pull, they now cast something called Vile Bite, which inflicts physical damage to a target and causes them to bleed for 8 seconds. Now, what I don't know about this is it a random party member, or is it on the tank in the stacks and can have multiple applications? I don't know. I think either way that this kind of kills that first pull potentially.
Yeah.
So I'm a little concerned. Again, haven't played with it yet. Don't know for sure. Don't know how much damage this is going to do. Don't know anything really about it. But I think on the surface, what I'm gathering here is they don't want you to pull that whole room anymore.
Why do they dislike fun so much? No, I mean, I think you're right. Like, so to refresh everyone's memory, this big pull, the pull in Algathar before the tree boss, where you basically pull the whole section at once. It has the big little plant dudes that have the AoE circles that they put out. It also has the mosquitoes that will hop to a random person and also get a stacking frenzy buff that you can soothe off of. And then they had the little lashers, which I believe did nothing.
Yeah, just white hits on the tank.
Yeah. And so now they've added something that has bleed. Like, I have to assume it's going to stack.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that would effectively limit how much you can pull. I mean, it depends on how much damage it does. It depends on, if it's going on tank or not. But dude, I loved that pull so much. Why you do that?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about this. I want to play around with it. I want to see what it actually is. I'm probably going to go in there on like a Blood Death night and pull the whole room and just see what happens. But I imagine that the whole room pull is no longer a thing. You're probably going to pull like one pack of the skitter flies with one pack of the flowers, and then do that again, and then do the final pack and chain it in or something like that. If this is the case, which I don't know. It's sad. Algathar was such a good dungeon because you could do these like heave ho massive pulls like in between each boss. Like I'm thinking the first boss you go in, you pull the entire room. That's insane. Because if it's not a tyrannical week, you just lust that, and DPS players are happy because big number get bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go into Croth, and then the next pull, you jump over and you fight all of the like worms and the other caster mobs down there, but none of them are really significant enough that they need to be extremely kicked outside of the scepters, and the scepters are gone now. So you could do a massive pull there. And so you do that. That's fun. Again, DPS, big number, go bigger, and they're happy. And you kind of split that up into like 2 pulls, maybe 3 pulls, depending on
Yeah.
the key. And then you're at the next boss. And then you do another massive pull, like you pull the entire bridge. That's fun. And then you do another 1 or 2 smaller pulls before you get to the final boss. So like the reason this dungeon I think is so well remembered by a lot of people is not only are the bosses for the most part good and fun, but it allowed you to do like big pull after big pull after big pull after big pull, and people like that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm a little sad to see that they are finally doing the thing that you and I have been saying this is probably coming, but they haven't done it yet, and we're happy they haven't done it yet. Yeah, I think that time might be at an end, Scott.
Yeah, I'm pretty sad about it. I'm pretty sad
the
about it.
other major thing that I did want to call out, I guess there's a couple of boss changes. So like on Croth, the pushback from Gale Force has been reduced by 20%. So that's, if you don't go pick up an orb and become immune to that and get the haste buff, you're going to be impacted 20% less, which is nice because that phase is annoying as all hell already. There's a reason people tried to skip it when you had the ability to just, power through the boss's screams. You don't really have that now with the changes that they made. But yeah, so that's interesting. And then the other major boss change here is the Echo of Dorgosa. And this is, there's 2 changes here. And I want to talk about the Astral Breath change first, because again, this is Scott and I's assumption on what's happening here. I think what's happening here is the breath is removed and they've renamed it to be Astral Blast. So that for sure has happened. Now, what does that mean? I think the breath attack itself has actually been changed from being a breath that targets a random player and then shoots out a beam for a little while after that, to now it just deals damage to a player and gives them a stack of overwhelming power, which is just an unavoidable thing that is going to happen.
Yeah.
The implication of this, though, is there were times where you would be about to drop a puddle, and so you would go into God knows where to get away from the boss if you're a range class and just try to drop a puddle in a convenient spot, and then you get targeted by the breath and you just use your movement to get over there, so now you can't get out of the breath and you just die. um, I don't think that will happen anymore, which is cool. But the problem with the overwhelming power stack being random, this is already happening during the boss. People are getting random stacks of this. So it kind of ruins your ability to place these pools in a good spot. So there might be a lot more like staying together rather than being all spread out and having people place things in a good spot, and then tank movement as a result of that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's going to add to the chaos of an already kind of chaotic fight in that, yeah, like you can kind of control where you're going to put down the pools right now, and you're not going to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. So I will be interested to see what happens there. The other change around overwhelming power is it no longer is increasing your damage done, but giving you haste instead.
Hey,
which
benefit for me.
is going to feel really good for some specs and really not great for others who don't care about haste.
Yeah.
Which,
but to your point, like one of the strategies of this boss was like you get up to you get to like to 3 stacks or 4, whatever is right before it.
It used to be
up.
3, now it was 2 because they reduced the number you could have.
Okay.
Okay. Or increased. I don't remember. They made a change to it.
Yeah. So you basically want to sit at the maximum number of stacks you can have for as long as possible, and they've increased the amount of things that are going to give you stacks now, so that's going to be less reliable. So it makes sense that it like it's just not going to be a strategy. I mean, it feels like this boss is not going to have a lot of strategies anymore. It feels like it's just going to be dodge and survive, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am a little concerned about the other line here where it says overwhelming power now inflicts arcane damage every 1 second. I don't know what it was prior.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
would guess this is going to do more damage, is what I think.
Yeah, I don't even remember if it dealt damage previously or if it was just a stacking debuff you got to signal like you're gonna drop a pool.
It didn't feel like it did. It didn't. I don't remember doing a lot of healing on this fight at all.
Yeah. So that scares me a little bit with what the tuning's gonna look like, because if that's the case, like, are we living in a world where it is going to be more beneficial for you to run into an orb to drop pools so that you're not taking an insane amount of damage? Because if that's the case, then this fight is getting way more chaotic. There's going to be way more area denial and way more shit flying around the room just randomly.
Yeah. I don't know.
But yeah, again, we won't know until we get in there and test it. So I don't know. Any other thoughts on Algathar changes?
Not on Algathar. I did look at some of the Skyreach changes, and I think the bird boss, there's been some changes there that I think are good. So the problem with the bird was, so what he does is he summons ads and then he can resurrect the ads. If you get, I think you get a debuff on you that you need to place away from ads. And so they've apparently made it a little easier to actually know when you're going to resurrect something or not.
Yeah. So at least in the past, if you killed a bird on top of one of the previously killed birds, you would summon both of them back live.
That does not happen anymore.
Yeah. The other thing that I think that they changed was they changed it to being like an egg instead of ash piles.
Yeah,
which is just
when they
like
die, they just turn it. Yeah. And then the egg, like, that's part of it. Like, if the egg is in the circle of Blaze of Glory, which is what resurrects them, you will see it on the egg, which is a good change, because the game Blizzard wants us to be looking at the game more and not just a warning pops up, you're bound an egg. They want us to actually look and see. And so I think that's all a good change, because that was a struggle with that boss for me. That it got very chaotic in a bad way, because you just couldn't tell if you were about to resurrect something or not. And also, I think the resurrection radius was larger than the visual, which they've also fixed now, which didn't help because you felt like you weren't going to resurrect anything, and oops, you did.
Yeah. The other change in Skyreach is for the first boss, and they're looking like they're just trying to improve some of the visual clarity on that boss. Um, the wind mechanics are cool and all, but they are kind of hard to see sometimes
Mm-hmm.
because they are just like this opaque, like not quite super opaque gray tornadoes that
Yeah.
fly around. So um, I'm interested to see what all that's going to look like as well.
Everything says improved visibility on it in that boss, and that was great because that was my struggle with that boss, is it was difficult to tell what exactly was about to happen.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that they're doing some of that stuff in Seat of the Triumvirate too. At
Mm-hmm.
least with Luara, they're trying to make that room a little easier on the eyes, and make sure that things are easier to be seen.
Yeah. Yeah. And they haven't made, like, it's not all changes to make things easier. Like I think in Pit of Sauron, stuff got harder. Some damage stuff will do more damage. Some stuff has more health. So yeah, it's interesting.
Mhm. But anyways, again, this is all just going off the patch notes. I want to say Scott and I will probably try to play around with these if we can in the next week. I can't promise
Find me
anything.
a tank. Find me a tank, man.
Life has been extremely busy lately with the holidays and everything like that. So, yeah,
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have much else for today, Scott. Is there anything else you wanted to cover for today?
No, that was it, man. I'm enjoying my time with the game when I have it. I've been feeling this weird hankering to play retail lately. I haven't logged into that in forever.
Yeah,
Just-
I feel the same. I logged in the other day and I was like, I'm gonna go like maybe do some time walking or something, and then I kind of quickly realized, and I don't know, maybe this is a really bad way to think about it, probably, but I was like, everything is gonna change so much that like I don't really want to learn a new spec right now. But I also like kind of want to get a new spec ready because I want to be able to try a new spec come midnight. So I'm in this weird like limbo of like, do I really want to waste my time learning something now and it's going to change in 2 months
Mhm.
kind of space? So yeah, I'm going to have to get over that hump, I think. But
Yeah, it's a weird time to, like, when you want to play the game but feel like maybe I shouldn't. It's
yeah.
weird.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have for you guys today. So just generally speaking, next week and probably the following 2 weeks are a little up in the air, I think, as far as recording goes for the
Mhm.
podcast, because let me make sure I'm not incorrect in this, but I believe that Christmas Eve is on a Wednesday and New Year's Eve then also is on a Wednesday.
True.
Which is generally when we record. So
I'm going to go ahead and say right now I will not be recording a podcast on the 24th of December.
yeah. And then I also have some medical things that are happening next week that might cause the episode to come out a little later than normal. So just a heads up there. Next week episode might be delayed. I think we'll probably still record next week. If not, I'll try to let you guys know through YouTube and Twitter and everything. And then the 2 weeks after that, I think it would be a pretty safe assumption to say that there will be no podcast. But we'll make another announcement on that next week as well. So
Yeah, we got to take breaks too, you know?
But as for the question this week, my question is, how do you guys interact with the UI currently in the War Within? Like, how are you doing it today? Do you pay for an add-on or a UI pack like Atrocity? Do you use a free one like Quasi's? Do you do your own thing? Do you use base UI? How are you guys interacting with the UI now? And what are your plans going into midnight? Specifically, if you are somebody who does something special with the UI, what are you planning to do going into midnight? Because not only am I curious, I also have no idea what the fuck I'm going to be doing going into midnight. So maybe you guys can give me a little bit of ideas on what the best thing to do is.
Folks, this is your chance. Message Kevin and tell him you will give him your UI and all he has to give you is $5.
I don't know that that's going to work.
You're going to be rich.
Anyways, guys, you can contact us over at yellingintothevoidwow@gmail.com. YouTube is at yellingintothevoidwow, and Twitter and Blue Sky are both at Into the Void Wow.
And if you are not subscribed to this podcast, we suggest you do so right now. Immediately go press the button, do it. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and pretty much anywhere else that podcasts can be found.
And then lastly, please consider liking, subscribing, commenting on YouTube, on Spotify, on anywhere else you can comment. All of those help us get exposure, introduce us to new people, and generally allow us to interact with you guys. So if you like the content we make here, you want us to continue to be able to do that, all of those are a great avenue to help us out. But guys, until next week, I'll be over in my treehouse yelling into the void.
Did you actually make a treehouse?
Not yet.
I'm jealous.